Movies that could never be made again. Movies have the capacity to elicit laughter, tears, and a wide range of emotions. While there have been many excellent films that have benefited mankind, there have also been a few rotten apples in the lot. Today, we'll look at these movies that would never be produced today because of their controversial nature or sensitive subject matter. Baby Geniuses. Those who thought making this film was a good idea were sorely mistaken. To begin with, the narrative of the film was as strange as it gets. The plot centers on a group of infants who can speak fluently, conspire against adults, and even know karate. The film has a Rotten Tomato audience score of 24%, based on nearly 50,000 ratings. Just don't watch it with someone who doesn't like kids. They might grow to despise them even more as a result of this movie. Mac and Me. The IMDb rating for Mac and Me is 3.4 out of 10. The relationship between an extraterrestrial creature and a young boy confined to a wheelchair is the subject of this film. One of the worst films ever made, according to critics. Each scene in the movie is improbably bad, to the point where it becomes good. The constant product placement for McDonald's, Coke, and other large companies makes you wonder if you're watching a long advertisement rather than a movie. The Love Guru. If you need help understanding the term guru, we can explain it to you. A guru is somebody who has complete mastery over something. In this case, love. The movie's about a man who becomes a guru and then comes back to America after spending a lot of time in India. The movie's an example of cultural appropriation at its best, and portrays India in a stereotypical way. Critics also panned the hideous and inaccurate costumes that the characters sport throughout the poorly conceived film. Glitter. Mariah Carey's Glitter is notoriously terrible. The movie's about a young singer who has to choose between her career and romance as she begins to gain popularity. One of the main reasons why this film is so terrible is that it purportedly claims that a strong woman can't have it all. Aside from being monotonous, the film is also uninteresting. We strongly advise you to avoid this movie. Back to the Future. The film may have acquired a cult following, but certain portions of the writing leave much to be desired. The film is rife with instances of bullying. In addition to the contentious moments, there are several racial epithets that can be heard in parts of the movie. The protagonist of the film is frequently portrayed as being intoxicated and swearing on a whim. Many people believe that this movie needs to be sent back to the editing room for further editing, if not altogether rewritten. Disney's Aladdin. Disney's Aladdin has several instances that may be interpreted as racist. Many critics felt that the film reinforced negative Middle Eastern preconceptions. In the movie, Middle Easterners are characterized as evil, unsophisticated, and violent. In one scene, a character describes the area as where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. These controversial lyrics were seen as particularly hurtful to those Middle Eastern ancestry. It'd be difficult to picture this as a children's film. Animal House. Although this movie was popular when it first came out, its scenes can now be interpreted as racist, homophobic, and misogynistic. In reality, many people believe that Animal House is poorly written. The film is frequently comedic in an abusive sort, the kind that involves laughing at someone else's expense. If you want to cringe at the movie's outdated humor, feel free to do so again. Forrest Gump. It's commonly claimed that with time, items, and movies improve. However, this cannot always be said about movies like Forrest Gump. Every time you want to rewatch it, the film appears to be problematic. Some people believe that the movie fails to accurately portray certain aspects of American history and instead presents a rosier picture of the United States. Additionally, many found the film's special effects subpar. Heathers. This film is a classic of the 1980s. It tells the story of Veronica Sawyer, a teenager who's part of the popular clique known as the Heathers. However, many critics felt that the movie trivialized suicide. Though the film is considered to be a cult film today, it was widely panned when it was released. Many people felt that the film normalized bullying, making it sound like a rite of passage for every student. Mr. Mom. This film's narrative examines what would happen if gender-based obligations and expectations were switched as a result of certain events. On the surface, Mr. Mom appears to be a forward-thinking picture. The film unfortunately had many problems, one being the movie title itself. The name of the film, in a way, indicates that a woman's place is only in the home, something that won't go over well with today's audiences. Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is a comedy western directed by Mel Brooks, who also wrote the screenplay. The movie tells the story of an unjust politician trying to drive a community off its land for his own personal interests. With lots of inappropriate humor and no apologies for using pejorative terms toward various ethnicities, the film doesn't shy away from controversial material. The film was popular in the 1970s for its humor, but we can't see it having the same level of popularity today. The stereotypical character and use of derogatory words throughout the film would make it very problematic for many people. 3 Men and a Baby. The title of 3 Men and a Baby refers to the tale of 3 men named Jack, Peter, and Michael, as well as a baby who disrupts their lives when she arrives. This film subsequently became a box office success in 1987. Did it deserve to be a cult classic? One might ask if the movie should have been as popular as it was. Most likely not, because it included a subplot concerning drug addiction, retrograde ideas, and a few more disturbing scenes. The Master of Disguise. In the 2002 film The Master of Disguise, Pistachio goes through many disguises in order to save his friends from evil. Even in parts that are supposed to be amusing, the movie is over the top and devoid of humor. The disguises are mentioned in passing. Each of his disguises is abominable. Costume design used in this film is, to say the least, questionable. Even a small child would have little trouble recognizing someone wearing a disguise. The Polar Express. Polar Express is one of the films that would never be produced today, since it features animation that's both amateurish and frightening. The animation in this blockbuster is both amateurish and repulsive at the same time. Children, and even some adults, may be frightened away by the animation on its own. Polar Express is not a Christmas film, but it has a romantic element. Unless you enjoy starting holidays on a frightening note, avoid this film. The Police Academy series. This 1984 release follows a group of oddballs at a police academy. The movie has several unnecessary nude scenes, and while some jokes are funny the second time around, they don't seem as funny upon repeated viewings. The characters of the movie also lack depth and are more or less shown to be one-dimensional in nature. We don't think that this movie has any relevance today. The Toy. The 1982 film is an adaptation of a French movie titled La Jouette. An entitled youngster asks his wealthy father for a black American man as a toy in the movie. We're shocked it was ever approved, given the story's preposterousness. In the age where series such as Dear White People are gaining momentum, a movie like The Toy deserves to be erased from the annals of pop culture. Tootsie. Tootsie is a 1990 American comedy, drama, film written and directed by Larry David, based on his own life. Michael Dorsey is an out-of-work actor who has to pretend to be a woman in order to get employment. The movie follows the comical events that occur once he falls in love with his co-star. The film relies on the tired and outdated man in a dress trope. Critics felt that the movie tried to generate humor without exploring the finer points of gender and length. Watching the film today, this movie seems rather prehistoric. 48 Hours. 48 Hours is a 1982 film that follows Reggie and Jack, 2 men who have to join forces to catch some imminent criminals. This flick is known for birthing the new genre of buddy cop movies. Despite helping to create a new genre of film, many critics felt that the film was poorly edited and inconsistent in terms of tone. The film's female cast doesn't get much screen time either, something that wouldn't go over well with audiences of today. Dogma. Immediately upon its release, Dogma received intense backlash from the Catholic community for its crude and sacrilegious depictions of angels. While filmmakers reserve the right to explore controversial themes in their work, audiences today seem to prefer films that explore religious themes in a more respectful way. Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth has acquired a negative reputation among audiences and film critics due to its awful execution and editing. According to many reviews, L. Ron Hubbard is the author of the book in which the film is based. The film's Scientology roots aside, critics and audiences hated the clumsy camera angles and poor acting. Even the film's screenplay writer admitted that seeing the film once during its premiere was more than enough. Caddyshack. Caddyshack is a comedy that follows the adventures of Danny Noonan, a golf caddy who works at an exclusive country club. The movie is said to have had dozens of last-minute script changes. Though the film eventually became a cult favorite, it was surprising that it got made at all. Critics initially wrote the movie off because of its slow pace and confusing storylines. While ESPN may consider the film perhaps the funniest sports movie ever made, many viewers would disagree. Chasing Amy. Chasing Amy was a 1997 romantic film that addressed same-sex relationships. The picture was lambasted as providing further evidence to the preconception that someone's preferences could be turned on and off at will. The movie is also problematic when it comes to depicting the notions of gender. Considering how offensive this film is to the LGBTQ+ community, we don't believe that a film like Chasing Amy would be made at all today. Forced Vengeance. The security chief, Chuck Norris, is a man who is not afraid to take on criminals. When his boss, David Apache, is killed by a crime gang, Chuck Norris seeks out to take them down. He kicks and punches his way through the gang until he's avenged his boss's death. This film would never be made today because of its violent content.